Are you sick and tired of lame-ass social media? Are you sick and tired of turning on the TV and being bored to tears? Well, never fear. Roundtable Philosophy is here to save the day, bringing you new and interesting podcasts each and every week. Let's get the party started. Previously on Roundtable Philosophy.
There's a cliff! Ah! And your family screaming, "Oh my God, we're burning alive! No, I can't feel my legs!"
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell!
All right, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining us this week. Last week, we decided to experiment a little bit and got a little crazy, but I think the crazy train has come into the station, and we're going to focus on more serious matters like commitment. I think it's important. For me personally, I think I've always been pretty good at committing to things, but I feel lately that I have not been so good at the commitment game. And when I say that, I mean, there are lots of projects and things I'm interested in doing, but oftentimes I either don't, I guess the word is launch. In other words, instead of formulating a plan and following the steps, I just continue to flail until I just give up on the idea or I put it on the back burner. But I think this is with a lot of different areas of our lives, relationships, people being engaged for 10 years and then finally getting married or engaged for another 10 years after that, whatever they choose to do. People that get into jobs without really doing any research about what the company does or what their mission is or anything like that. And then they realize, oh, well, my personal beliefs or whatever don't line up with this job, so now I have to quit. Or just even things like, you set out to play a sport and you find out, well, you got to go to practice at 7 a.m, 5 days a week, and you think, well, I'm just not going to do that. So I think it's different for everybody, but commitment is something that is really important because if you don't commit, then you're not really going to make it very far. I don't know if you guys saw the Shia LaBeouf video of the Just Do It, but that's a pretty cool video, the 2-minute version or however long it is, not the 29-minute version in front of the green screen. But yeah, if you're tired of, always feeling like you're starting over, then don't, just commit to what you're doing and make it happen. So Ryan, where would you say an area of your life is that you have difficulty committing?
I would say currently my most difficult would probably end up being along the lines of staying in lane with keeping myself in shape. I've been trying to exercise every now and then while I can to kind of keep myself at least a little bit in shape, but even now I can see that the exercise I'm doing is barely even doing enough to actually keep me in shape as far as good fitness. So that's one of my main struggles right now. Another one would probably end up being healthy eating, actually. I've had a bad habit recently of eating out way too much as far as fast foods and other things. Yes, it's convenient, but at the same time, it's just not very healthy, especially in regards to how you function every day. I have a very sedentary type of job environment where we sit around a whole lot and where we pretty much on computers inputting information and things like that nature. So there's not really a lot of opportunity to walk a mile or so during work, burn some extra calories, get active, do some stretches and stuff like that. Also, currently we do overtime right now, so I've been working a lot of overtime on weekends, even on the holiday for Memorial Day, and even during the week now. Granted, it's voluntary, but when you are trying to make a living, you sacrifice certain things in order to have more money to make do with, especially when you want to try to afford to have your own house eventually. Besides my personal fitness and lifestyle, another thing I'm having problems staying committed to, I'd probably say continuing my education in a way. People should always be learning something new. They should always keep trying to learn new things instead of remaining complacent. And written course breeds stagnancy. The best way I've ever heard it described is complacency is like a cancer. Once you get it, it's very hard to get rid of. And if you're just okay with it, eventually you just die off because you have no motivation to improve yourself or your lifestyle. And eventually you lose what little motivation you have for a better life because everything is just fine with how it is now. You're no longer improving yourself to reach higher levels and higher goals. Luckily for me, it's not a problem currently because I've actually been trying hard very recently to improve myself and my own personal standing within the company I work for, even including interviews and opportunities to move abroad across the country. It's a sacrifice to make, but it's for the betterment of your professional life and also making a career for yourself. That's the sacrifice we often make. If you're not willing to, then the chances of you actually improving your situation are not nearly as high. And so you stick with the same job you've been doing, and you just become complacent with it and lose motivation to improve yourself.
I totally get the whole fitness thing. When I first started college, I was pretty much a stick. And then by the time I graduated, almost 8 years later, I was pretty fat. Like I go back sometimes and look at those pictures to show people, and they can't believe that, my face was so round. And even I didn't even really realize it. And then, I moved to Houston, and I was actually talking to somebody about this today. It seemed like every night I was either making homemade pizza or some kind of pasta dish and just eating gratuitous amounts of chips. I don't know what it is about chips, man, but I have the whole eat a whole damn bag gene or something like that. It's almost impossible for me to slow down on the chips. And I also drank a lot of beer and stuff too. I think part of it was because of boredom. There really wasn't a lot to do there that wasn't overly expensive. People don't believe me when I say that Houston's more expensive than living near Atlanta, but it definitely was. And it didn't help that I made about 10,000 less than I do now, and I had to ride the bus every day to save money so that we could go do some stuff. So oftentimes what we would do was, there's a movie theater called Studio Movie Grill, and they serve food while you watch the movie. And so Groupon would have specials for $5, and that gave you unlimited drink refills and the movie. So I thought, hell, $5 for a movie? Yeah, let's do it. So we would go see a movie 3 or 4 times a week, and 9 times out of 10, I would get the Texas fries, whatever they call them, but it's basically a heap of fries covered in chili and cheese and ranch dressing. You eat a bunch of that and suck down some soda, and then, you grab McDonald's, Taco Bell, things like that. I mean, literally there are probably 300 or 400 restaurants between where I live and downtown Houston. So, we would hit up a lot of places very frequently. We actually lived across the street from a little pub restaurant type place. So, that was easily accessible by foot. My wife's dad actually challenged us to try and lose a pound a week for 8 weeks. And I actually lost 12 pounds and she lost 20. And then I kind of just slacked. And then we moved back to Georgia. And it wasn't until my daughter was almost born that I stumbled upon a guy on YouTube. I really connected with his message and what he was saying, and I started formulating a plan. Like I actually took the time to read about nutrition. What are calories? How does food actually work in the sense of losing weight? How do people actually lose weight? Like, what do you have to do? I mean, eating healthy is one thing, but what do you call eating healthy? Eating a 100-calorie little bag of Oreos or whatever, that's not necessarily healthy. I mean, yeah, you're not eating like a whole sleeve of them, but still. And so I kind of just formulated a weight loss plan, and I told myself I was going to stick to it. So for 6 months, I drank no alcohol. I drank no soda. I ate no fried food, no fast food, no processed food. I mean, I pretty much just shopped the perimeter of the grocery store, and I only went to the middle to get a few things I needed. And the only time that I would eat out or anything was typically on a Saturday. And I would walk at least 3 miles because my daughter was a newborn, so I'd put her in the stroller, and she would just be asleep. So I would just walk around with her for an hour or two, depending on if she woke up or not. But most of the time, on average, it was about 3 miles a day. And I lost 30 pounds, and I felt really good. And then I decided to just kind of see what would happen if I just maintain and continue to eat well, but I didn't really keep the exercise part up. And then I had a different job because the one that I had, they got bought out and I got laid off. And then once the second job after that, I got laid off. I had about 3 weeks of downtime and I exercised almost every day. And then the job I have now, I really haven't been very good about exercising, and I've noticed I've been getting a little soggy around the midsection again. And to kind of get some inspiration, Brian's getting married in February. So one of his groomsmen and myself, I said, all right, guys, we're going to do an 18-week challenge because the suit fitting is in October. I don't know when in October, but I said we have 18 weeks to try and get into better shape. So let's set a goal. And the person that doesn't meet or exceed the goal that they set has to buy the other two guys a bottle of Woodford Reserve each, because we like Woodford Reserve. So, that's like $60 to $80 that you got to pop out if you lose. If you meet your mark, you don't owe anybody anything. but if you fail to meet it, even if it's by a pound, you have to pay. So that's kind of been my motivation. And then prior to this, I've been getting back into things. I hit the gym about 6:30, 3 days a week, and then Saturday and Sunday too. So 3 to 5 days in the gym. And it kind of sucks. Like, I've gotten so used to eating pretty healthy that now even when I eat certain things that are full of grease, it just makes me sick. At work, we have monthly birthday celebrations, and they'll usually have a cheesecake and a pie and some other kind of cake. And the last 2 times I've eaten it, I guess all the sugar in it just made me feel like throwing up. And I decided that it's just not really worth it in the end. Like, I still love chips. I have to avoid the chip aisle. Doritos and jalapeno chips are like the bane of my existence. It's a love-hate relationship. I love to eat them, but then I hate how I feel afterwards because I can't just eat a few chips. It's kind of like when I go to a Mexican restaurant, I probably eat about 5 baskets of chips before my food ever gets to the table. And then I scarf it all down, and then I'm all bloated and feel like garbage the rest of the day. And it's difficult, and I'm looking back, like, how did I do that 2 years ago? How did I get so focused and in the zone? And I feel like whatever motivation I had then, I can't get back now. I don't know like what the problem is, but I feel like that's something that I have been struggling with for a while, is finding the balance between enjoying myself and being healthy, because it's almost like one of those like do or die things. You have to either commit all the way or not at all. I think the best way it was put to me through a YouTube video I saw was when somebody asked this guy, how long will it take before I expect to see results? He always tells them at least a year, and they don't seem to believe him. But, when you think about it, it takes a few months to kind of break the mindset and the habits that you formed and kind of teach yourself, okay, well, if I go out to Chili's, let me get one of the salads, which is not, a bad choice. They're pretty good salads, but, let's go with the salad option instead of eating the triple dipper. You know what I mean? I mean, you get 700 calories of good food or 1,400 of not so good. If you're trying to lose weight and you got a certain caloric amount you need to meet every day, eating the triple dipper, that's pretty much like almost 80% of the calories you need for the day. So that's not a very good decision. But, I'm guilty too of eating McDonald's almost weekly, because where I get picked up, when my coworker drops me off twice a week, there's a McDonald's right there. There's also a Subway, but it's like, $1.25 for a McDouble or $4 for a Subway 6-inch sandwich. Kind of like that picture that says why kids in America are fat, because a cheeseburger is $1 and a salad is $6, and the Coke is $1 and a bottle of water is $2. I definitely understand the pain of not eating well and not exercising, but if you can just make the small habit changes and slowly integrate it, or even better yet, just formulate a plan, I think that's ultimately how you solve a lot of these problems.
I've also struggled with weight issues and eating healthy and exercising, because a while back, probably like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago now, my sisters kind of challenged me to lose weight. And it was a system where if I lost something like, I think it was 30 pounds, they would give me, I believe it was like $500. So there was a financial motivation behind it, a kind of money for losing weight challenge. And what I ended up doing was I ended up making smarter choices about what I was eating from day to day. I had a lot more breakfasts that were basically just a banana and some peanut butter, as opposed to my usual like bowl of cereal. And in fact, there was a time when I would actually have 2 bowls of cereal for breakfast because one wasn't enough. Luckily, even now, I only eat 1 bowl of cereal. But anyway, what ended up happening was I was eating healthier, and I was getting outside and walking every day. I was walking the dogs mostly, and I actually lost the weight in the amount of time that I was given to lose it. And I succeeded, and I won the money. But then the holidays rolled around, and the holidays are always very difficult to be healthy, especially for me, because my family likes to get all kinds of goodies for the holidays, and it's kind of hard to have the willpower to resist all the stuff when it's around you every day. And what ended up happening was I ended up gaining pretty much all of the weight back, and it's difficult for me to really get into a routine of eating well and exercising, it's tough to really motivate myself to do that kind of thing. Even though I know I succeeded at it before, I think the motivation isn't what it used to be because I think the financial motivation when that happened really, really helped me to galvanize and really, really work at it. But in the end, I ended up gaining the weight back, and maybe that's something I need to do. I need to get back into what worked for me a couple years ago and maybe figure out how I can integrate that into my current way of doing things so that it's a more lasting effects, so that I, for the most part at least, can keep it off.
I think a lot of the country deals with the same issue over and over again because I've struggled with it ever since college. Joey can attest to this because, there were so many times me and him went to the grocery store and we would sit there and I would throw stuff at him while he'd catch it and put it back on the shelf. He gets so pissed at that. But, and he would always tell me, I was like, you're eating so unhealthy. Why don't you eat a salad? I hated salads. I hated vegetables. I hated everything except junk. All I wanted was junk food. And fast forward to the point where I'm married, and I was married for about, I want to say 4 months, a total of 4 months. And my wife was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at age 25. And she wasn't that overweight. She just struggled the same way I struggled. And we had a knockout, drag out fight in the car on the way home. And it was just like, I felt so bad about myself and what I was doing to her because I was affecting how she ate in a sense, or how she lived her life because of me. And so we got into a big old fight in the car, and I just went, F it, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm done. And so that actually started us on a path for about 4 months. Within 4 months, the two of us lost 130 pounds together. And I dropped from 350 pounds to 280 pounds. And I felt so good about myself. I felt so good about how I felt, how about what I could do. I was more capable of doing stuff around the house. I was stronger. And we did it without even exercising. All we did was eat healthy. No junk food, no fried food, no chips, which, Joey, I have the same problem with the chips. I'll sit and eat a whole bag of Doritos the whole time. But our problem is in America, we don't know what a portion control is. We don't know what the right portion is for pasta. We don't know the right portion is for meats and stuff like that. And it's like, for white pasta, you're supposed to eat a third of a cup. That is a serving. And which is kind of funny because being type 2 diabetic, my wife, she went to this class and it told her, they said that she could only have 45 grams of carbs per day on her diet. And it turns out she could actually have 45 per meal. So about 3 months into our diet, we actually realized, because I was doing the same thing she was doing, and I hated it. I hated it for the longest time because I just couldn't. There was so much stuff that I wanted to eat, so many cravings, but we realized we were eating like way low carb diet, like almost no carbs whatsoever per meal, and that was the biggest reason why we lost a lot of weight. But fast forward to 4 months later, we both felt great, and this and the other. I got an opportunity to go to Cleveland for a week to work at NASA up there for class. And Crystal and I took Crystal with me, and we drove up there, made it a road trip, and Crystal decided that we were going to stop at every place that we wanted to that had good food that was on Food Network. Well, you can guess where that came from. And what happened there is, like, we had so much food, we were getting sick because of just how rich it was. And by the time we got home after that week, and it just kept going downhill, it was like, instead of cooking grilled chicken and grilled asparagus, let's just order a pizza. And the next day it's just like, let's just go get fast food. And we hadn't had fast food in months. And then all of a sudden we started eating it almost every day for a while. And I truly believe that their food is an addiction in this country, especially fast food, because of the type of stuff and chemicals they put in our food. makes it where you have to, you crave it. You feel great when you eat it, and then after a while you start feeling bad, and then you start craving it again. And you have to go eat it again to get the high. It's just like a drug. And the more research me and my wife have done, the more we've seen all the different stuff that they've been putting in our food. And I mean, whether some of it's true or not, I don't know. I mean, some of it could be complete BS, but a lot of it seems true just based on the way I felt. But at this point, I mean, we've been eating unhealthy. My parents was living with us for 8 months, and they eat unhealthy too, and they know it. And instead of telling them, no, I want to eat something else, you want to eat the food that tastes good. Everybody's like that. And so now they're moved out, and I've started counting calories again and started to portion control. I haven't really eliminated a lot from my diet, but the day after my parents moved out, me and Crystal were out going to lunch, and I'm going, you know what? I just want a big Caesar salad with chicken on it. That's all I want. And so that's exactly what I got. And after I was done, I'm going, that was tasty. It's like I could have eaten a burger and fries, but I'm like, nope, I want that salad. And I actually was happy about that. But, I mean, at this point in my life now, I mean, we've gained all the weight back. I'm actually at my heaviest now, which is 370 pounds. And I just feel miserable almost all the time. So, I mean, we're actually starting to go back down the other direction so I can start counting my calories, eliminating the food I need to, and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen because I really want to get to the point where me and Crystal can go and do things that we want to do that normal people our size can't do. Ryan said, have you considered hiring Shaft?
Who is the man who can lose weight with his brother, man? Shaft! Can you dig it? There's one thing left to say, though. When it comes to losing weight, you only have one choice. Do it!
I guess Nate must have died.
No, I'm here.
So what about you, big boy? What you got some commitment issues with?
Well, I guess the most current thing is right now is I'm having to completely change my liquid diet, the types of sodas and stuff like that, because a lot of people don't know, but I've been having a lot of kidney problems here over the last couple of months, been in and out of the hospital. They told me absolutely no sodas, period. I've got to start drinking more lemonade, more orange juice, and I hate lemonade. I hate it with a passion, and I find myself constantly, when I'm at the gas station, I'm going to go get a bottle of water. That's the idea when I'm at work. And I'm looking at the sodas and going, I could really, really use a Dr. Pepper because I'm so tired. I'm so used to having that caffeine, that large amount of caffeine in my system to keep me going that I'm like, if I just take one, I'll have some energy. I can get through the day. But then I think back of what the doctor told me. If I don't get off of it, the next step is surgery for me. I can manage what I've got now, but if it gets worse, it's surgery. I've got to go in, and I don't want that. But even knowing that, I'm constantly fighting that and constantly having the cravings, and it's almost like a withdrawal. Like I'm going through caffeine withdrawal. So I can even tell that there's moments where I'm really fidgety, and it's like coming off of a drug. And I think with any kind of, whether it's a food addiction or anything like that, that's that craving that you get. It's a withdrawal. And you would think that knowing that if I don't stop the way I'm going, that it's going to lead to something worse. But for whatever reason, it's like your mind tells you, oh, no, it's okay. Just one more. Just one more, and you'll be okay. And that's where the commitment issue comes in. It's, okay, you committed yourself to stop doing this, but that little voice in the back of your head, that little devil on your shoulder is telling you, no, it's okay. You can have just more. And then you take that one more. And then the next thing you know, you're having 4 a day, 5 a day, 6 a day, and, I'm back in the emergency room because I've got a 6-millimeter stone trying to come out. It's not a good thing. That's the current issue I'm having now. I've had commitments where staying in school, it gets boring to me. So I lose that drive. But I know that if I'll come back to it and be like, I'll get back into it. I'm young. Well, I'm 30 now. I'm not so young. So I'm like, I'm going through school now, and I'm kind of wishing, dang, I wish I would have just stuck with it and finished it, even though it was boring out of my mind. But it's a commitment. It's that you got to find that one little thing that will just keep you interested in it and keep going with it, or you hit a spot in your life where you just say screw it, and you're like, if I don't keep with it, I'm gonna be miserable, and you just keep going. You realize that if I don't keep going, then it's gonna be bad. I know there's been a couple of times where I've even tried to stop smoking, and that lasted maybe a week. I think it's the most I've ever stopped smoking, and it's the same way. You get going, and all it takes is just a smell, just somebody around you that you see them light up, or you smell a cigarette, and you're like, ooh, I want one. And you let your guard down, you smoke that one, even just a couple puffs, and the next thing you know, you're buying a pack of cigarettes, and within 6 hours, the entire pack, which is 20 cigarettes, is gone, and you're right back where you started at. Commitment can be hard, but it's just finding that one thing that makes it go, you know what, I'm good. I really don't want it anymore. I used to eat a lot of sweets, and now I can't eat sweets. And the reason was because I got very, very sick off of a candy apple one time and just puked my guts out. And now I don't like sweets because of that. I can't eat them. If I eat too much sweets, I get nauseous. And matter of fact, Joey was talking about that. He ate a sweet and it made him nauseous. Well, I ate a donut earlier this morning for most of the day up until about lunchtime. My lunchtime, 1 o'clock. I was nauseous. I was just like, the only thing I ate was the donut, and it was a chocolate-covered donut. And now I don't think I could eat another sweet for a couple of weeks.
I do have a question regarding commitment for you, Nate. You've said on here, though, that you do have a smoking addiction of sorts, or maybe it's the nicotine itself you're addicted to. Have you tried the alternatives to it? I know one of the newer things that's come out in the past year or two has been vaping or whatnot, though. And that is an option for a lot of people who have switched over.
I have, and this is the thing I've noticed about e-cigarettes and vapes. One, the e-cigarettes are such a low dose that pretty much if you're going to do an e-cigarette, just go cold turkey. The problem with those are you're still getting the nicotine. Essentially, you're just replacing cigarettes with vapes. You may not be getting the negative side effects of it, but you're still getting the nicotine. You can control the amount of nicotine, but it's just replacing one addiction with another. If it came to a day where I just didn't really care if I smoked or not, then it would probably be easier to kick the addiction. But it's because I do like it. I like the feeling it gives. Then that's where the addiction part of it, the actual, your body needs the nicotine, it's hard to get rid of.
Well, I guess that answers most of my questions regarding that issue. Now, Jim and Adam, I know y'all have talked about before about having your weight issues and how hard it was for you to drop the weight in the first place by making a lifestyle change. Now, based on that, and you saying the easiness of getting all the weight back, does it feel a little bit counterproductive as far as trying to lose it only to try to keep it off more and more and more with all the temptation around you?
So your question was, you're asking, is it harder to maintain keeping the weight off with all the temptation around? Is that what you're asking?
Let's face it, guys. We have a struggle going on every day with the temptations that surround us, whether they be sex, whether they be gluttony, whether they be hatred. I mean, there's temptation around for all kinds of different things. I mean, you'll see advertisements on TV regarding, now Chick-fil-A, or now at Zaxby's, the birthday cake milkshake. Now it's just 1,300 calories. Well, for somebody who's dieting, obviously, that's damn near almost all of their daily calories, if not close to at least 70% of it, or nearly two-thirds at least. I mean, we say as a country, that we're the best in the world or whatnot, though, but our nutrition is absolutely terrible. I mean, we are leading the world right now in obesity, especially so in child obesity. It's truly sad, and it's almost humiliating, actually, looking at how we are right now as a country when it comes to prioritizing our foods. I mean, hell, buying beer is cheaper than actually having an actual nice meal for yourself that's actually nutritious. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like having some cheap beer every now and then, but at the same time, I find it sad how it's so hard to find technically foods that are called organic or pure and wholesome foods that have not been tainted by steroids or chemicals or pesticides of some nature when it comes to their growing. But even then, I'm not sure how to feel about it because I want to lose the weight. I want to be back in good health, and I'm okay with making the sacrifice of doing so. But at the same point, though, I feel terrible because it's almost targeting people who have not grown past a certain wage level to not be able to get back into shape properly and to stay in shape without some kind of health concession, whether it be a type of disease or a cancer or higher cholesterol or something of that nature. It's just repulsive to me, at least. There's no reason why asking for a small salad or even a medium-sized salad should cost more than a burger with fries. No matter where you go, there should be no reason for that.
I think they try to justify it by the toppings that are on it. So if you look at some of the fast food places like McDonald's, Wendy's that have salads, there's chicken on it. Okay, I can understand the cost of that. But even if you were to go to somewhere like Chick-fil-A, I mean, their food is a little more expensive, but you're paying for a premium of customer service there. So I can see why some of the stuff is a little expensive. But I agree with what you're saying. I think what it really comes down to is just accountability and saying, okay, well, let's create a plan. Before I started everything, I weighed myself and I said, all right, I weigh 235. And this is before my daughter was born. So I said, okay, well, I want to get down to 200. So how would I achieve that? How do I get down to that kind of weight? And so I started looking at, how many calories do you actually have to consume to sustain yourself, to neither gain weight nor lose weight, just to live? How many calories? And there's a couple of formulas that are more or less the same across the board, different calculators you can use. But you basically take that and you say, okay, well, how much is 1 pound? Well, 1 pound is 3,500 calories. Okay, well, if I want to lose 1 pound a week, how do I do that? Well, you have to subtract 500 calories from what you eat every day, and then you can essentially lose a pound a week. So if you need to have 2,000 calories just to sustain yourself, then you just subtract 500 and you eat 1,500. It's like, okay, well, how do I do that? So I actually have a PDF I can email you that has everything broken down. I actually give this to a lot of people that ask me that are interested in losing weight. And so me being the nerd that I am, I said, okay, well, what's the first problem with dieting that people have? They have to eat boiled chicken or dry ass, oven roasted chicken and salad with nothing on it, right? Which is basically just lettuce. And that's not true. You don't have to do that. You can actually eat stuff that tastes good. You can buy spices and herbs and put a little bit of salt on something and be perfectly fine. You can season up your food. I mean, hot sauce, very little calories. I like mustard on some stuff. So, the things that's applicable for, great. You can make your own kind of vinaigrettes and things of that nature. It involves some commitment in the sense of saying, okay, well, if I really like Caesar dressing, which is easily 100 plus calories for just a little bit, what's a good alternative? Oh, I can make this vinaigrette that's 20 calories. Now, granted, you have to mix the stuff up for it, and that requires effort. What is it that you really want? Like, I think the big equalizer is college. Because a prime example, you see all these girls in high school, they look really good, right? And then you have the freshman 15, which I think for some of them is like the freshman 30 or the freshman 50. But, I guess girls pack on weight a little differently than guys. But, I've easily seen people in my freshman class just do a 180. And I think, holy crap, what in the world happened, And they weren't even necessarily drinking alcohol. It's just, all my friends wanted to go out. So like you're saying, you eat fast food very frequently. Your friends want to go out. So you guys go out and, you get some buffalo wings. Buffets are like, they're damning. You cannot go to a buffet. And if you're going to, then you have to say, I'm only going to eat 2 plates of food and I'm going to get very small portions and sample the things that I want. Like, you have to set restrictions when you go out somewhere. Like, I really hate the word diet because people misuse it. Your diet is what you consume. If all you eat is Snickers, then that is your diet. If all you eat is lettuce, then that is your diet. Now, they have different diet types, such as you're going to do paleo, which you're basically going to eat lean meat. You're going to eat some root vegetables, no grains, no legumes, stuff like beans and peanuts and stuff like that. Basically, you just have to decide, what do you like to eat? And I found that to be a lot easier. So if you actually make a list of the things that you like to eat, then you go and you look up how many calories you need, and then you kind of budget it out that way. And, without a plan, you really kind of just fall off the wagon and you're stuck, It's really easy to just say, let's go grab a pizza, let's go grab a burger, let's do this, that, and the other. And it's a slippery slope because it's not just one time. We all know it's not just one time, because how many people are like, oh, I'm just going to have this one Dorito. I'm just going to eat this one hot dog. I'm going to have this one Pabst Blue Ribbon.
For those of our audience who are in high school or below, what he means to say is, you are what you eat. The end.
You had mentioned the withdrawals, Nate, and things like that. And there's actually something called the amygdala, which is a part of your brain, which is, as Seth Godin calls it, the lizard brain or the resistance. Anything that makes you uncomfortable, the lizard brain kicks in and says, oh, let's not worry about that. Let's just go with this option over here. Let's not get uncomfortable. It's okay if you eat another donut, have another Yoo-hoo, drink another Coca-Cola, smoke another cigarette. Jim
It's
says,
called the medulla oblongata.
That's a completely different part, but funny reference. But yeah, basically this part of the brain just says, hey, you're getting uncomfortable, bro. It's the same thing with anything. It's like when you're in college and you're procrastinating because you have this paper to write. The lizard brain says, hey, let's play some Xbox, or let's go play some beer pong, or go to a party, or do something else. It's just constantly trying to preserve itself, and as a result, you end up paying the price for it, because the brain is a pretty incredible thing. It's not going to feel any kind of pain or do anything to be, hurt in any way, shape, or form. So the brain doesn't care if you weigh 500 pounds; it's still trucking along. You just have to kind of fight the beast within and say, no, I'm going to focus and commit. The guy that I had discovered on YouTube, he basically says two things. You either need a tragedy, or maybe dogs nipping at your ass, or you need a goal or something that is so huge that that's all you think about. That's what will drive you to get across the finish line. So you basically have to have this massive carrot that you just are very eager to achieve and dangle it in front of you until you reach the finish line. I said to my two friends, hey, the wedding's in February. Let's try and lose some weight by October. The losers have to pay up some Woodford Reserve, right? So, I mean, who wants to pay $60 to $80 out of their own pocket and have the public shame of they failed this challenge? Because we also made it Facebook official, so everyone's going to be following us week after week. And I mean, you don't want to lose your credibility, right? You don't want to lose your image. You don't want it to be tarnished at all. So I think things like that are kind of helpful for some people, others not so much. But I think having accountability is good, and an accountability buddy. Everybody here is trying to get into shape, so maybe the four of us can, well, I don't know if Nate's trying to get into shape, but he's trying to live a healthier lifestyle. But maybe the four of us can be accountability buddies and help each other out, being like, hey, I'm feeling weak. These Doritos are looking good. And it's like, no, bro, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, we can't physically be there to stop them. And it's kind of like when Adam was saying we go to the grocery store. He loved the Mott's apple juice, and not just the small bottle. This is like the big-ass family-size bottle with the plastic handle. Wing Zone, Domino's. And I used to joke with him. I was like, hey, Adam, you know why you don't like salad? Because you can't deep fry it. And that was because he loved to deep fry things. And I, too, love to deep fry things. And my deep fryer is in the kitchen, and I haven't pulled it out in well over a year. Ryan says, all those gains. So
I don't own one anymore.
That's impressive. I'm proud, man. Good job. But as far as the gains, so that's kind of my nickname to a degree.
You can't handle the juice.
I got the gains from the Hodge twins. They're these two brothers that are bodybuilders, and they do competitions and stuff like that. And they're always talking about getting the gains. And so I refer to the gains as like this essence or whatever that washes over you and gives you strength and excellence. So anytime that I hit the gym, I always, Facebook that I'm getting the gains. I've committed to the gym 3 to 5 times a week. I have committed to trying to stay around 1,500 calories a day, no sodas through the week, no beer through the week, and Saturday will be my cheat day. I will try to keep that to a minimum. As a matter of fact, if you want a good plan to follow, you should check out Tim Ferriss on the 4-Hour Work Week. He has what's called the slow carb diet, and it's pretty simple. You do, I think, chicken, fish, egg whites, and then you do beans, mixed vegetables, spinach, stuff like that. It's a very basic type list of stuff, and you just cycle the food, make different meals out of those basic ingredients, and you don't consume any white carbs, so no potatoes, no pasta, no bread, stuff like that, and you don't drink your calories. The only thing you can have is like green tea or coffee, black, no sugar or creamer. And it's hard for some people, you just got to kind of find what you're working for. That's why I kind of like my budget diet, I guess is what I would call it, or whatever, because that kind of gives you a little more wiggle room. But for any listeners that are interested, I will link up all this information for you guys to check it out. Let's make a pact to try and finish out the last half of the year in good standing, because the first half, like I told myself, by May I'm going to lose 20 pounds. What did I lose? Like 1 pound, I think. So I have not been doing very well, but my goal that I set for myself is 20 pounds by October. Ryan says, Jim, let's pair up. Yeah, for real, guys. Like, if anybody that's a listener wants to have an accountability buddy, I will totally be that. I actually have a fitness page I'm about to launch. By the end of the month, I'll have all of the stuff that I've accumulated over time. Oh, Ryan says, let's pump you up for this. He's Hans, and Jim will be Franz. And together they will pump us.
Hi, I'm Hans.
And I'm Franz.
And we
are going to pump you up.
That's retarded.
What does Morgan Freeman have to say about all these gains?
Well, when you set your mind to it, you can do anything. Like smoke recreational drugs every day.
Andy once had all these gains when we were in prison. And he sold it for cigarettes after having anal sex in the showers.
Well, I wasn't expecting that, but neither was he. Rim shot, rim job. What? Cliff jumps. That's right. Jason isn't here to tell us that the train's falling off the rails, but that's okay. So any last words that you mofos want to share?
We're all about to die? What happened? What? Why are we giving our last words?
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Just do it! What the fuck are you doing? Are you professional or not?
I'm the Indiana Jones 4. Just do it!
We'll do it live.
Michael Bay. He wanted explosions. So he did explosions.
The chat window, Jim says, make your dreams come true. And I said, Caitlyn Jenner can make all your dreams come true. And Ryan said, a small black boy in Harlem screamed out, Daddy. And no one turned their head. I feel like Morgan Freeman should have read that. How about you read that for us, Morgan Freeman?
And a small black boy in Harlem screamed out, Daddy. And no one turned their head.
So that's our show. Hopefully you found us entertaining. If not, send us an email and let us know. Go to www.roundtablephilosophy.com/contact. Fill out the form and give us your feedback. If you like, you can follow us on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/roundtablephilosophy. You can follow us on Twitter. Twitter.com/RTPhilosophy. Other than that, just check out our site on a weekly basis for new and entertaining podcasts. Thanks so much.